Since the reveal of Pokemon Sword and Shield in February, there have been a number of questions regarding how the gym system in the game will function. Will we be returning to a typical gym progression, or will we see some traits of the Kahuna battles from the 7th generation? And most importantly, where will the league be in Pokemon Sword and Shield? Make sure to like and subscribe, as together with BirdKeeperToby we're going in depth into the gyms, gym masters, Galar's league, and possible post-game in this episode of Inside Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Hello everyone, BirdKeeperToby here from the real-life equivalent of Galar, England, specifically Southern England, where you start your journey. And today we'll be going in depth into the two stadiums that stand out among the others of the region. But first, let's take a little look at the map of Galar and see where the different gyms or stadiums might be located. The very first thing that we do, of course, is pick our starter, Grookey, Schoolbunny or Sobble, and after doing that we investigate the starting area and possibly battle the first local gym. Denoted by the two football stadiums that are in the area, possibly one of those is a gym. After this point we leave with the rail heading north into the Lake District, catching more Pokemon and building experience prior to reaching the big industrial town which has an open roof brick stadium. So is this stadium one of the gyms? It looks like it, and in this case it's most likely the Fire Gym of Galar. But why are these stadiums open roofed?
One clear reason for the massive brick stadium might be the football culture and the Premier League clubs found in most Northern English industrial cities and towns, such as Manchester and Liverpool. But why English football and hopefully pub culture? For one, England is the birthplace of football, and the structure of football and Pokemon battles are rather similar. Wait, what?
Galar/Regal, or Regal as previously mentioned, is the equivalent of Britain, and the equivalent to football in Galar are Pokemon battles. In this regard, it makes sense that in Galar, the stadiums are designated for Pokemon battles instead of course, football. And that trainers dress like football players, though really they have the role of managers. Instead, Pokemon are the players that the Gym Master and that we, the challengers, well, manage in the matches. Pokemon battles. It is clear that Pokemon stadiums equal football stadiums in our world, and that Pokemon Gym Masters and us trainers are the equivalent of football managers found in the English Premier League or FA Cup.
Speaking of the FA Cup, have you seen the similarity its old non-commercial logo has to the Pokemon League logo of Galar found in the Japanese Sword and Shield logos? Red and blue. Coincidence? Not likely, since the first two Pokemon games were, well, red and blue, and the FA Cup logo is red and blue, and the FA Cup final is always played at, well, Wembley in London. And what stadium on the map of Galar has this red and blue emblem? The arch Wembley-like stadium, in what is the Pokemon equivalent of London. It appears that the road to Wembley is the same for both the FA Cup and Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now then, since we have been able to see a possible inspiration from the FA Cup to the Pokemon League or Cup of Galar, why don't we try to place the generic egg-like gyms? Since with exception of Wembley and what we believe is Old Trafford and a certain Dragon Gym, all of the stadiums are identical but with different exterior colors to represent what Pokemon types the gym specializes in.
These include the Grass Gym in the Stonehenge area, the Water Gym in the Port Town, the Gym next to the Dugtrio Town, the Fairy Gym in the Mushroom Forest, which might be based off of Sherwood Forest and the town of Nottingham where Robin Hood operated. The Dark Gym is likely the 7th gym of the game and seems to be located in the Winter Town and might be operated by the villain team of Galar. And then we have the Dragon Gym, located in what we believe is part of the Windsor complex, next to what could be the Royal League of Galar. We will get back to both Windsor and London a little later on, but first we have to get inside the stadiums and see what's up with the Gym Masters and likely the new gimmick of the game, based on the Japanese logo. The reason for this notion is that there are small icons found within the Japanese logos that have, since Generation 6, hinted to a key mechanic in said title. Mega Evolutions in X and Y, Primal Reversion in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and Z-Moves in Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Up to this point, Pokemon gyms have been, for the most part, rather private affairs, located in rather secluded venues, with not more than a few dozen people at any one time spectating. Now, what do you say to having 20,000 or more spectators who are strongly biased to support the Gym Master, watching you as you battle? What other purpose would stadiums with massive stands have? A psychological effect of entering the lion's den and a distraction from the task at hand.
In football, we call this home turf effect, or doping, or the 12th man on the pitch. And English football fans can get pretty wild both inside the stadium with the chants and display at the stands, or outside in the streets or pubs. In this case, it might be that you start your battle like any away team at a great disadvantage, having the entire crowd against you, and it is your job as a trainer to impress them, so that they will lend their support to your Pokemon instead of the gym masters, as the battle progresses. This would actually be much more fitting than Mega Evolutions and Z moves in the previous generations, as this game-based gimmick would first be obtainable after solid play against your opponent, and not right away. Skillful display of offense and defense, or sword and shield. There's only one thing missing before we can walk into battle. That's right, armor. And this is where most of the speculations regarding armored evolutions come from. But for now, we will leave the subjects for later, as these, unlike the Gym Masters, have not been confirmed by Nintendo, the Pokemon Company, or Game Freak. Instead, we need to consider a second option to the gym battles, namely that the symbol in the Japanese logo points to tactical battles, instead of a special power. Since while crowd support is important in football, what is even more important is the starting lineup the manager decides to go out with. A classic stereotype of English football being 4-4-2. Well, in Pokemon you can't have more than 6 Pokemon with you, so at most 3-2-1.
We are clearly joking here, but it might be that the Gym Masters will be offering a twist or two, and that one of the twists might be 3 vs 3, 4 vs 4, or even 6 vs 6 Pokemon battles. And then it's up to you to balance your lineup and make sure that you have both the offensive and defensive skills required to take down the Gym Master. Since gyms clearly take inspiration from football, it's possible we could see crowd support to boost the power of your Pokemon, and possibly even triple battles, quadruple gym battles, or even... oh wait, I can't read that word, that's not safe for work. But it would be just like the framework of a Premier League or FA Cup matches, but in the world of Pokemon. It definitely would make Pokemon gym battles more dynamic and strategic, as you'd have to read your opponent closely while also work to gain the support of the crowd to lend their power to your Pokemon. It is absolutely brilliant. But then again, it might just be regular Pokemon gym battles, but with the crowd adding strength to your Pokemon. Either way, both exciting possibilities.
Now say that you've been able to conquer all the Gym Masters and qualify for the Pokemon League or Cup of Galar. But where is it? The natural answer will be Wembley in London. But what about this massive structure or castle next to the possible Dragon Gym? Could that be the location of a Royal Pokemon League? While discussing this topic with BirdKeeperToby, we thought that London and Wembley has to be the location of the Galar League, but then we thought of a different possibility. What if London is a post-game area after beating the Royal League in Windsor, and that the Pokemon League champion title serves as a qualification to an even greater tournament that we haven't seen since the 5th generation? Yes, the Pokemon World Tournament, where you faced all former gym leaders and the champions of the Kanto, Johto, Hoenn and Sinnoh leagues. Only that in Pokemon Sword and Shield you will also likely go up against the champions of the leagues of Unova, Kalos and Alola.
Ah, London, my home away from home. The landmarks seen on the map are Piccadilly Circus, Big Ben, London Eye and the Shard. These could be battle arenas or the battle tree of Galar. They could serve as steps towards the final tournament and the climax of Pokemon Sword and Shield, which would all happen at Wembley, the most important stadium in England, if not the entire world. And if you weren't convinced that these stadiums are football stadiums before, you will be now. Wembley in recent years has been host to the final matches for some of the most influential football knockout tournaments in the world. The FA Cup, Champions League in 2011 and 2013, the Olympics in 2012, and it'll be the venue for the final of the UEFA Euro in 2020. It makes too much sense. And London is perfect for a battle tree post-game setting after beating the Royal League in Windsor and Wembley. It is the perfect venue to conclude Pokemon Sword and Shield. And that concludes our theory on gym stadiums and gym masters, the Royal League in Windsor and the post-game set in London and Wembley Stadium.
A big thanks to BirdKeeperToby for joining us, so make sure to like, and if you're new, subscribe and press that notification bell on our 2 channels. Also, make sure to check out BirdKeeperToby's video on how we will traverse the map of Galar inside Pokemon Sword and Shield. Finally, a big thanks to all our patrons and in particular royal producers Kenyatta Ali and Bradley Carriage at patreon.com/commonroll. We will see you in the next video.